Welcome back, YouTubers, to another Q&A question and answer video with us, the two dudes that are still in the same clothes as the last two Q&As. It's the British Fist. Gotcha. Get ready for the fist pump and the ka-ching, ladies and gentlemen, because it's for me, Mr. Parkin, and the actual fist pumping and ka-chinging actually comes from this guy sitting next to me. It's NJ.
What's up?
Make sure you guys also subscribe up above, even though the button is that side, and I don't want to hit NJ, that's why I never do that. Like this video, and comment your thoughts on the questions we've been asked down in that comment section below.
And make sure you contact us in the link in the box below.
Indeed, and keep, of course, as we always say in these Q&As, keep sending us questions in because we really enjoy doing these Q&As and we really enjoy answering your questions and getting feedback from you guys. So keep sending in the questions, whether it's through YouTube inbox, which is the preferable thing for us, commenting down below if you're a lazy ass such as myself, or facebook.com/BritishFist. You can always ask us there.
It's your questions that are helping us to think, remember stuff, give us something to talk about, so keep them coming, keep us doing that, and we'll keep answering your questions.
And we also do this to interact with you guys as well as part of our channel. So there we go, as we do enjoy our subscribers' interaction. So there we go, that's why we always respond to our comments. We'll start with this Q&A with none other than the guy who's been featured on two Q&As now, Gexplan. Always, we've given him an opening spot in this Q&A, NJ, so we should be very proud. What are your 5 favourite characters of all time and why? Well, I know what your two are going to be.
Oh yes, none other than the game, Triple H, and the big fiery monster, Kane.
They're two good characters. Rock and Austin always stand out to me as two really good characters. And a fifth one, Taker, just because of the longevity of his character. It's a great character, isn't it?
And he's the one that every wrestler would compliment for what he does backstage as well as in the ring.
Indeed. Have we got any other characters you want to mention? Like, I mean, I could pick up some old school ones like Hogan. Macho Man was always a great character. Mr. Perfect was always another good character.
There'd be Mankind.
Oh, yeah.
There'll be Eddie Guerrero.
So
yeah,
many.
they're the ones that stand out to me recently.
Yeah, definitely. There are so many great characters out there. Why do you think that the WWE hasn't brought back Paul Heyman to be head writer? Because in this PG era, I would bet that he could make new stars and make the stories more exciting and freshen things up. To be honest with you, I don't think Paul Heyman could really write in the PG era, to be honest with you. I mean, let's face it, he was the head of ECW. So it wouldn't really work in the PG era, would it? Even though he could probably write some good stuff. He wrote some great stuff for SmackDown from 2002 to 2005. Or whenever he was writing, remember the big SmackDown 6. I don't think he's right. I don't think WWE would use him in this because they obviously have their own way of doing things now, and I don't think Heyman would really complement that, in my opinion, or Heyman wouldn't really want to write that style, Hollywood scriptwriters and all that kind of shit.
With me, Heyman is a great heel, so I do like the fact if he was to get involved, he'll be writing some good storylines. I think he's got the creative mind, and if the WWE were to allow a bit of non-PG stuff, he'll be the great person. But because they're PG, trying to be as strict as they can in some areas, Paul Heyman may be a bit too heavy for the WWE now. Yeah,
and I don't think Vince McMahon would trust him with a checkbook either, so there we go. If Vince McMahon were to die within the next 5 years, please don't be a heart attack because either John Cena or Orton gets injured or something, or The Rock or Lesnar now. And if Triple H was to take over the company, do you ever see Shane McMahon buying TNA because he didn't inherit the WWE? I don't really see why Shane McMahon, as successful as he is now, why he would buy TNA just to rival his dad or his, or his brother-in-law. I don't see that kind of thing happening. I can see where you're coming from though, to try and rival what he never got, but that's because he left and Vince McMahon stayed on much too long as chairman.
That's very true. Sadly, Shane McMahon stepped away from the WWE. When if he did stay around, maybe I would have looked at him as well as Triple H. But going towards TNA, yes, he may be a creative mind because he's been in the WWE business, WWF for a while, so maybe he'll do great for TNA. But I don't think his mind will focus that way.
I don't think Shane McMahon would want to do second best, even if he could propel it to the levels of WWE. But there we go. I'm going to take another deep breath here. I know that you'll probably say it's the writing that's important, but if you think about it, the ratings are never going to go up in TNA because every time you watch TNA, you mainly see either WCW guys or WWE rejects. That's probably why no one will take TNA as a serious challenge to WWE, in my opinion. That's just because we've just had food and I'm just burnt.
Well, to take it seriously, it's like the WWE wrestlers that have gone to TNA. There's still biggish names there, names there, like Hardy Angle. So they've gone to a step down into TNA, but they're still big names. And they're still going to be remembered and liked in that product. So I don't think it's going to be an effect because of them. No. No,
I think to be honest with you, TNA at the moment is a decent product. Let's not get it wrong, but I mean, TNA won't be taken as a serious challenge as WWE because of their marketing and the way they market their product. You look at WWE and they market their product everywhere. They bring in guys like, Flo Rida and The Rock and Brock Lesnar, whereas TNA just don't get that they just don't get enough of that, really, apart from, like, the Jersey Shore characters and shit like that, which aren't really that great. Not even the main two, Situation or fucking Snooki. But I mean, I don't necessarily think it's because ex-WCW guys are on there, or because of that, or WWE rejects. I mean, TNA need WWE rejects. Well, not necessarily rejects, but they need those WWE guys to try and bring in WWE eyes, as well as their counterculture way of doing things. And I think TNA can be taken seriously, but I think they do need to up their ratings a bit first, which will come from more consistency in their product over time, creating stars and stuff like that. So time will really tell, because at the moment, a lot of TNA fans have kind of given up on TNA, and I'm not really willing to give it another chance, which I think is the main issue. Especially after everything that happened like last year with Vince Russo and all that shit. They just need to be more consistent.
I'm not going to be surprised if they continue buying ex-WWE wrestlers to add more to their product. So I think they got something working there. I do think it's like the marketing and how they get their name out there compared to WWE.
It's a big thing because WWE does so much and they get their name out there so much.
Very
and
true.
TNA just doesn't have the ability to do that, unfortunately. Spike TV. Nathan Nerdmage asked us a question. What are your top 5 heel or face turns in WWE of all time? There are a lot. We'll start off with one heel turn, which I very much enjoyed because it led to a guy who was a great face and also a great heel, leading into this new sort of character after he went into movies, and that was the Rock heel turn. How much entertaining stuff came from that Rock heel turn in 2003?
The Rock heel turn, it led to so many different ideas to WWE because they know that even if he does turn heel, the fans are still going to be behind him. They ever want to turn him face again. He put on great matches against heels and faces, so it's very worked out for them.
A memorable heel turn, in my opinion, was Austin at WrestleMania 17. Yes, I think that was a terrible heel turn, and it really did stamp an end, in my opinion, to the Attitude Era. But it was still very memorable. Austin turning heel and going with Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 17, something we thought would never happen.
Because with Austin signing with Vince McMahon, yes, it gave him a big push to a direction as a heel, but obviously we do see him as the top babyface, so you can say good things, bad things about it, but it was still memorable.
I think a much-needed heel turn, in my opinion, was also Bret Hart, and I think when he had that match with Austin, and Austin was over as a face, and Bret Hart instantly became heel, again, it was another one of those examples of a heel turn, which was really good, because you had Austin, who was supposed to be a heel, but then you turn him into this great babyface using Bret Hart, and then Bret Hart became heel, and then started doing some great stuff with Team Canada. So that was another good heel turn, in my opinion.
With Bret Hart, we all like people. He's another race that people like, love, and that. So with him, they could turn him heel and still have the chance to turn him face if they wanted to, and he'd still play a great part in the WWE as what he is.
And I think another example of a good heel turn would be someone who really benefited from going from a face into this heel, and I think a guy that did that was Edge. He really benefited from the heel turn, didn't he? And as soon as he got that heel turn, he instantly became a sort of top guy for the company, didn't he?
Very true, because yes, he was great as a tag team with Christian, but it's when he came back and he went straight as a heel, and things just kept progressing from there, came with all these nicknames, championships, so it went sky high for him when he came back as a heel. Very good.
The NWO, Hogan turning heel, I think that was a big one because that was a big moment in the Monday Night Wars, and no one thought Austin would turn heel. Hogan would turn heel. And, that was another really good heel turn, in my opinion. As it led to the NWO, a group which dominated the Monday Night Wars. Another great and memorable heel turn. I think it was Bash at the Beach 97.
I think it was that, because with Hogan doing that, obviously, he's another guy that the fans love as that. So even if it was a heel, they know they turn him face. But as a heel, great work.
Yeah, I mean, fans were getting very bored of the face Hogan, so they had to turn him heel. And it was a good decision in the end, especially for business. Bischoff was pretty good with that kind of stuff back in the 90s. I think another example of a good heel turn, Mark Henry, just because he dominated SmackDown after his heel turn, and it was really good to see a big guy being booked like a big guy and dominating everyone.
Very, very true, and I'm going to throw in one more as well as Mark Henry, is Kane, because he went from a heel to a face that sadly I do not agree with, then back to a heel, and I just say that is definitely worth mentioning because I'm really liking Kane as a heel.
I'll mention some old school ones to throw in there. A lot of the old school ones come with the Hogan era. You've got Macho Man turning heel on Hogan, leading to their match at WrestleMania. I think another good heel turn was Andre the Giant. He was massive friends with Hogan, and then he turned heel on him, leading to that match at WrestleMania 3. You have some recent ones which you'd like to put in here.
But if I throw one recent one, it's not a male, it's Lita. Because when she turned heel, her career went in a great direction, especially with Edge, as we've already said. Batista's debatable, so that's why I've not listed him, because obviously I saw him as a heel when he did okay as a face going against Triple H and that, but great work as a heel.
Riley's face turn was really good, I thought.
Riley. Yeah,
and Truth's heel turn, that led to good things as well. So those are two.
Yes.
Yeah. Superfan 931 asks a couple of questions here, 3 to be exact. This is an interesting one. Why do you think Undertaker is never bashed by the IWC or anyone in general? You never hear anyone who just shoots on Undertaker that was you get the idea. Yeah, we get the idea. So why do you think the Undertaker is never bashed? Just because he's just so respected, and he's worked with. The thing is with Taker is he's worked with terrible workers, and he's done it, and he's tried to get the best out of like Giant Gonzalez and people like that, and all that kind of stuff. And Mabel and people like that. So to be honest with you. We have a lot of respect for Taker because he took shit and still worked with it.
It's a bit like the wrestlers in the company. They're always complimenting him for what he does backstage and in the ring. So we agree with them, thinking, yes, it does this, does that, does this, does that. The only time he does get bashed was a bit of a shame, was his biker gimmick. People like that, don't like it, so he got a bit bashed for that. But overall, you can compliment him so much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, his character has stretched for, 20-odd years now, so that's another great thing about Undertaker. The streak is another thing which will live on. That will be remembered for a long time, the Undertaker streak. And a lot of people would say, Undertaker's winning all the time at WrestleMania, but that's part of a streak, and that's the marketability of WrestleMania sometimes. So Undertaker gets a lot of respect just because he's a very good worker, a very big guy as well. And I think people don't give him enough credit for that. He's a massive guy. But he's an incredibly agile worker and a respected wrestler as well. So we can't say bad things about Undertaker, really not.
And he's a guy that WWE knows they could put a wrestler against him and it'll be a great match for that wrestler's career as well. It's very good.
And an instant Hall of Famer too.
Very true.
Number 2, if Cody Rhodes were to get another injury near his face again, do you see him bringing back the mask? You're a bit soon to bring back the mask. I think they should just really go with the gimmick he's got now.
I think with the mask thing, that was just a one-off thing because they wanted to progress Cody into new characters and see what they could do with it.
The feud with Ray that did it, wasn't it?
Very true.
That helped the feud with Ray. And then when he had that feud with Orton and he took the mask off, then that helped Cody as well.
So I'm saying the mask thing was a temporary thing, and now he's gone off from that, and now he's progressing without it. So if he did have an injury near there, I think they'll just swerve around to keep him as he is now.
Yeah, they really should just stick with a gimmick and go with it and see how far they can take it, in my opinion, rather than just changing it all the time like they did in 2011. Even though 2011 was a good year for my boy, I'm just saying. Number 3. What did you guys think of the Buried Alive matches? He also said here, we lost an important person in that match that we'll never see again. R.I.P. American Badass Undertaker. Well, Undertaker will probably never be involved in a Buried Alive match again. The Buried Alive match was pretty much evolved around him, wasn't it? Let's face it.
His final match could be a Buried Alive match, a good way to send Taker out. Yep. Maybe not, but that's just an idea. And yes, majority of the Buried Alive match was him against Vince McMahon and Austin and stuff like that. So it was very nicely done. But to see it again, the fact that Taker could be maybe one more, I'm thinking, they're not really going to use that gimmick because it's Buried Alive, all about death, and they're being a bit careful because of the new era.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Buried Alive. I like the idea of it. In the Attitude Era, it really did work. I like Buried Alive matches. I'll tell you what it is. Because my dad is like he does driveways and stuff, and one of the parts of his job is like getting the digger, getting like the dirt, and then just dumping it. And I just, as a kid, I love the idea of just getting the digger and just dumping it on a hole and burying it alive. And I'm Vince McMahon for business.
And during that time, using the digger, the first that comes to my mind is Kane's clever thinking.
Oh yes,
taking out his brother.
Boom. There we go. Pac-Man Fever 100. Do y'all think Dixie Carter... I love the way this guy uses y'all. Y'all. Do y'all think Dixie Carter's hot? Dixie Carter's hot. Dixie Harter. That's a hot name. She's alright. Looks good for her age.
Sweet beige, but a bit mousy.
Yeah, a bit mousy. 2. Which WWE tag teams y'all hate? Well, is there any to hate?
It's hard to think what to hate. There were tag teams that were just thrown together, but most of those tag teams worked and were fine. Batista, Rey Mysterio, I wasn't a great fan of, but I wouldn't say I hated it, but yeah.
I can think of some TNA tag teams that I hate.
Let's go with that.
Mexican America.
ODB and Eric Young.
Robbie E. and Rob Terry. I hated that tag team so much. But yeah, we'll move on. Which WWE gimmicks y'all think is the worst ever? Now, this is where we're going to have some fun. Eugene. I hated the Eugene gimmick. It was so stupid, and the fact he was having matches with Kurt Angle and Triple H, just stupid.
Yes, he was related to Eric Bischoff. I'm just glad he's not in TNA, but I just did not stand Eugene and just not a good one at all.
NJ! Daniel! We are the British Fist!
Shivers.
What gimmick am I talking about here?
The cheerleaders.
Yeah, the fucking Spirit Squad. That was that was a terrible gimmick, wasn't it? Men entertaining heels. People are annoyed.
And Vince McMahon was trying to put them over by having a team with him, but it just sadly did not work.
Nope, I think the worst gimmick of all time, in my opinion, is like lean here on this chair. Has got to be the Shockmaster. That was an awful gimmick. What an awful gimmick the Shockmaster was, not helped by the fact that he was involved in that segment where his helmet came off because he didn't see the little ramp underneath the wall. Worst gimmick ever, the Shockmaster. I'm sorry, that is terrible.
I really can't compliment it that much, and that's why you don't really hear much about him anymore, apart from embarrassing stuff, but yeah.
What about Kerwin White with Golf Caddy, Dolph Ziggler, I've got your club, sir! That was a terrible gimmick.
Poor Chavo. He's had a great name with the Guerrero and all that, and then they suddenly thought that idea would work.
The only reason that works is because he had white hair and he was called Kerwin White. And he had Dolph Ziggler as his caddy. Pre-2008 Dolph Ziggler, oh dear. The Ringmaster was another bad gimmick. Because you had the guy, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Imagine the star he came, and his name was the Ringmaster. A good typical example of like early to mid-90s terrible gimmicks, along with like Spark Plug Bob Holly or Hunter Hearst Helmsley when he could have just been Triple H.
Same with Kane as well.
Isaac Yankem. Oh.
Yeah, I'm glad that they all progressed into bigger things that worked for them and progressed. Very nicely done. But starting, I guess they just got to try and find a gimmick that works for them, and they eventually did.
Rocky Maivia. Oh god, that was all right. It's just that they made him such as like a blue chipper. Oh god, it was just. Anyway, we'll move on. 2 more questions before we finish this Q&A. Loz in Thailand. I'm guessing your name is Lawrence and you live in Thailand. My dad's name is Lawrence. Doesn't live in Thailand though. Do you believe turning WWE to TV14 would improve the product? It's more about the writing, really, isn't it? Let's face it. It's more about the way they write. But if they're given TV14, they could have a bit more freedom, maybe to appeal to adult fans, which is what they're lacking. Really just depends how you look at it. Really, doesn't it? Let's face it.
Because I think with the PG era, yes, it's got to be really restricted, but with the writing, they could still make it work and just make it still be PG, but just give us stuff that's still going to give us the entertainment-wise. We do get that, maybe not as much as they could do. Yeah,
I mean, the golden era was PG, and that was fine as far as, from what I know, people who lived that era tell me. So, I mean, it would. I guess it would make more. It would limit. It would create more freedom in the product, but it's mainly about the writing. And at the moment, the writers in WWE just aren't great because they're fucking soap opera writers, story guys, writers.
It's sadly over the time they've had to get rid of some, bring in new ones. They should just stuck with the best.
Finalmente, the final question in Spanish. Do you think WWE should have continued the 1999 Over the Edge pay-per-view after Owen Hart's accident? To be honest, it was one of the decisions. If you're Vince McMahon, you're put yourself in Vince McMahon's shoes here and think to yourself, God, I've got a pay-per-view. Yeah, very nice shoes, NJ. You've put yourself in Vince McMahon's shoes. You've got a pay-per-view there. Someone's died. Well, what do you do? Do you stop the pay-per-view? Prevent the people from seeing the rest of the card? Or do you what do you do? I mean,
me straight away. I think the fact that something big happened on that they want to try and move away from because of how bad it turned out to be. I think the right decision was to move away from it and just have that as the last big moment that happened then.
What you mean? So you'd end the pay-per-view rather than continue it, or was what you saying?
Well, I wouldn't end it completely because obviously they paid.
You just move on from it.
Just move on.
All right, yeah. I understand what you mean. I thought you meant you'd stop it there. Oh, okay, no, I know what you mean. And what they did do at that pay-per-view is they did. We didn't see the incident, but Jim Ross announced Owen Hart's death, and they did move on from it. And I think to me, if you're in Vince McMahon's shoes, it's a very tough decision. You can't blame him for making this decision, because it is a pay-per-view, and he doesn't want to give fans what they want. So I can understand why Vince McMahon made that decision, even though it was a terrible death, of course. And some may argue that he should have been, they should have stopped it. And both arguments are correct. It's just how you really justify it, to be honest. Our view on him not being in the Hall of Fame, it's a shame his wife won't let him because he is a Hall of Fame worthy guy.
With the name Hart, you do expect the Hart family, a big thing in the WWF, to get a place in the Hall of Fame, just so all the work he's done and being part of the Hart family does get recognised in as big as the Hall of Fame.
I wonder if WWE are now going to file a copyright complaint against us for saying WWF.
Oh, I'm going to make old videos in WWF if they can.
WWF.
WWF.
World Wildlife Fund.
World Wrestling Federation.
World Wildlife Fund.
World Wrestling Federation.
Either way works. It's still WWF.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, that's another Q&A from us, the British Fest. Thank you very much for sending us your questions. As you can see by the smiles on our faces, we have very much enjoyed answering your questions that you have sent us. NJ, I pass the torch on to you right now.
So, people, thank you very much for tuning to this Q.
Your torch is out.
Yeah, I just had a little moment there. I'm evil. That was the torch falling. Now, people, thank you very much for watching this video. Please share your comments and more questions in the comment section below. Until next time, from Mr. Parkin and me, NJ, thank you very much, and goodbye.